If you watched BBC Breakfast this morning, you might have seen a blink and you miss it clip about a story they reported on early hours in the morning. This was about 4, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, and I watched the actual extended piece, if you can call it that. And even then, that was unbelievably short and certainly did not do credit to the situation. Now, the situation I'm referring to is people with disabilities and how they're treated by the DWP. I've mentioned this before, and in fact, my videos are longer than the BBC video this morning. It's in this story, it highlighted a woman who had MS, saying how much of a struggle it is. Obviously, she needs to arrange childcare and travel, and basically how hard life is from day to day due to lack of funds from the DWP. The DWP, who got probably most of that segment, came out with the typical review that we can all expect, a typical response that we all expect of, well, you know, we take everything into account. We take childcare costs into account. We take savings into account, and the usual stuff that they come out with. And that was it. That was how the piece ended. The old school reporting method of he said this, she said this, and then we're done, doesn't work. And it doesn't work because one of them, at least, is not telling the truth. One of them is not based in reality. It's not impartial to say, he said this, and there we go. No. You have to point out the reality. And the reality is, as we already know, the DWP has a horrid recent history of human rights violations and human abuse against people with disabilities. It's not enough to give the DWP the final words with them saying, hey, we take everything into account, because reality contradicts that. Reality is very, very clear that if you have a disability in this country, the DWP is going to twist that knife just a little bit more. We know this from the UN commissioned investigation that concluded in 2016. We know that from the horror stories that come out on an almost daily basis under Esther McVeigh's Department of Work and Pensions. The BBC has good reporters, and in all fairness, we never know what's been left on the editing room floor. But the BBC can't continue this way and expect any modicum of respect. Now again, there are phenomenal reporters at the BBC. Colin Campbell, absolutely amazing journalist, goes above and beyond and puts a lot of work and detail into his segments. But that's something that the BBC need to learn from. And unfortunately, they are so pro-conservative Tory that they won't report the blatant facts.